to Future Leaders Connect 2019. We're so delighted to welcome all of you here this evening to celebrate 8 incredible future leaders. Before we get started, a few pieces of housekeeping. As you can see, there are emergency exits in the event that we need it, to my left and right. If at any point you feel that you need medical assistance, we have 2 paramedics available, as well as British Council staff. So if at any point you feel unwell, please let us know and we will assist you. This evening, we're welcoming some wonderful guests to the stage, and we really hope that you take lots of photographs, that you post things on social media using our hashtag FutureLeadersConnect. Please, however, do not use flash. It's a little bit disturbing for our guests this evening, and as you can see, we're in an amazing setting with beautiful murals, so we don't want to damage those either. So this evening really is special for us at the British Council. We are going to announce the 4 delegates that are going to represent Mexico and the British Council at our global program, Future Leaders Connect. And I just want to say to those 8 incredible people, thank you so much for your dedication, for your hard work. We've put you through 2 grueling days of training, reflections, asking you questions, making you stand up in front of people and answer questions. So thank you so much. Your visions, the visions that you have of a world that is inclusive, equitable, safe and prosperous really are inspiring. And I feel that the British Council team really leave these 2 days with you feeling inspired and motivated. So thank you very much for all of your commitment. So Future Leaders Connect is the British Council's network of emerging policymakers. Participants in this program develop an international outlook that not only strengthens and nuances their policy visions, but actually gives the people and communities around them the opportunity to engage in public policy at a global level. The British Council is committed to the empowerment and development of future leaders by incubating their policy visions. And I think one of the fundamental principles that Future Leaders Connect stands on can really be summed up by the writer and philosopher Kwame Appiah when he said, "The world is getting crowded. Depending on the circumstances, conversations across boundaries can be delightful or just plain vexing. What they are, however, is inevitable." And I think Future Leaders Connect really asks the question, as leaders, do we have the tools, the skills, the resilience and the networks to find pathways to great public policy making? And can we do that in a way that is peaceful and effective? And through this program, we create a network of young people, connecting them at different geopolitical levels, as well as developing their skills and knowledge around transformative leadership and public policy. Future Leaders Connect generates the spaces for those leaders to bring that back to Mexico and share that learning, that inspiration and those networks with other people throughout the countries. And I think one thing that I really hope you leave this evening with is a real sense of how you, your institution, your communities can form part of this community of future leaders. It isn't just about being these incredible 8 people standing up and sharing their vision. How afterwards can you engage with them to support them in their journey? How can they support you in the vision that you have for your communities? And I really want to encourage all of you through our networking event this evening after the conference to talk to the British Council, to talk to these incredible 8 leaders, and let's start making and building those networks here tonight. So the British Council is really investing in the development of young leaders to help shape policy making in the years ahead. So tonight, we really want to take the opportunity not only to celebrate these amazing 8 people and the 4 that will represent Mexico, but actually open a space for reflection, to think about what great public policy could look like in the future, and what is the role that we as citizens have to play in that transformation. And to that end, I am delighted to welcome to the stage both Susie Rodgers and Pedro Kumamoto, who will be speaking with us this evening, sharing their reflections, experiences, failures, and successes. I want to share a little bit about the format. First, Susie will be coming to the stage to share her speech with us, and then Pedro will come out as well, and they will engage in a dialogue, asking each other really challenging questions about their experiences. For the British Council, it's really important that people are comfortable and welcome to express themselves in the language that they are most comfortable in. And so Susie has opted this evening to speak in English and Pedro in Spanish. So we're going to see intercultural dialogue at its best this evening, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so on to the interesting bit of this evening. I'm very happy to welcome Susie Rodgers, MBE, to the stage. She's a former professional Paralympic champion who won gold medals and bronze medals at the Rio and London Olympics. Getting to know Susie over these last few days, I've learned that she was a champion for anti-bullying and harassment in the sports sector, particularly that affect disabled people. And she has been a key advisor to the British Council in terms of understanding and thinking through how we, as an institution, can be more inclusive of people with disabilities, as well as championing programs in the 112 countries where we have a presence that really include and promote people with disabilities. The Pedro Kumamoto, we're also so excited that he will be joining us this evening. He has a degree in cultural management. He was the first independent candidate for Congress in Jalisco, and he's a founding member of Futuro Jalisco. We're also really happy that we have had a relationship with Pedro in the past. He has been part of the International Leaders Program, and I am very happy to announce that he will also be a Chevening Scholar this year, working and studying in the United Kingdom at UCL. Thank you very much for being with us. Susie, it's a delight to welcome you. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
I hope my microphone, does this? Yes, it works, great. I'm wearing the medal because I don't have enough hands to carry everything, so I don't normally wear the medal, and it's quite heavy, so wearing it today, I might take it off actually. Pop it over here. So firstly, I want to say a huge thank you to the British Council, Mexico, for inviting me to speak at this event, celebrating all the applicants of the Future Leaders Connect programme, and especially to those shortlisted and those who have been selected as candidates, and ultimately the finalists and the ones that will be selected, and that will be announced very soon. I also want to take a moment to thank the team at the British Council, who've been really welcoming and supportive, Jimena, Carolee, all of the staff and Jenny as well, who've looked after me these past few days, and Olivia as well. So big thanks to them. And also just to be really, really grateful that we're standing in this amazing amphitheatre. It's just beautiful with this mural behind me. Such a stunning setting for this evening's event. So it's great that it can be hosted here. I've had a wonderful few days in Mexico City. This is not my first time visiting Mexico. I actually came here in 2012, right after I'd competed at my first Paralympic Games in London 2012. I actually came to visit a friend who was living here at the time, and those games came at a very interesting point in my life. And I want to kind of work backwards and explain to you all why I kind of come to stand here in front of you today and why I'm delivering the keynote speech. So in my opinion, leaders, our leaders are basically individuals, and therefore are people. But all of us as humans, as people, we have identities, and quite often we have many identities. And this is important because diversity in culture, in leadership, is absolutely key to instigate change. And personally, I identify as a woman. I identify as British, although I would like to say that actually I identify as a citizen of the world. I'm also a professional. I'm a young global leader and cultural leader with the World Economic Forum. And I'm also an advisor and a consultant for organisations like the British Council. I'm also an athlete. But the final part is that I also identify as having a disability. So just to give you some background, I was born without my leg on the left side, my lower leg, or my left arm on the left side, and I wear prosthetic limbs on the left. I also was born with a congenital deformity of my right foot, so I have a lot of arthritis and pain, so I won't be standing for too long. I was born in the 80s, so I'm not going to give you my age, but I'm probably just a little bit older than some of the future leaders here tonight, so I won't say any more. So just to take you back to the 1980s when I was born, my father actually, when I arrived into this world, he fainted, and it was the only time in his life that he's ever fainted. My mum and my dad didn't realise that there was anything wrong with me when I was born, and then suddenly they were faced with a lot of questions. How will she walk? How will she cope with life? How will we help her to lead a fulfilled life? And most importantly for my mum, how will I ever lead an independent life? Well, I'm standing before you today, living an independent life and proving that nothing can stop you. No challenge is too big or too great to hold you back from living your life, and more importantly, to positively impact on the lives of others. It hasn't been an easy journey. It isn't for anyone, but I'm lucky in many, many ways. I live in a country where we have free healthcare through the National Health Service. So that means that I have access to prosthetics and orthotics that enable me to walk, and I don't take that for granted, because without those, I wouldn't be living an independent life. I also had loving parents who told me that I was no different to anybody else. And they encouraged me to try lots of things. If something really wasn't possible, they would point me to try something else and to not lose hope. I had a roof over my head, and most importantly, I had access to education. There was, as a child, and there still is now, a lot of pain, a lot of endless visits to the hospital, discrimination which I have faced in my life, and moments where I was stared at and people stared at me because I'm different, and it made me feel different, and I had to compete in a world that is basically designed for the non-disabled majority. So my way to counter this was to be good at everything. No, in fact, I correct that. I wanted to be excellent at everything, and I wanted to win. So I learned to play the trumpet with one hand. I started off in music. I achieved the highest level in that. I went to school. I got certificates every year for academic excellence. And then ultimately I went to university and I studied languages, and I earned the highest degree, which is a first-class degree in the UK. As part of my degree, I lived in 3 countries, and I studied their languages and culture. And it was through this that I learned the importance of valuing others, their opinions, and their diversity. You can really learn something from everyone. I truly believe that if you take the time to get to know them and understand their point of view. Whether or not you agree with their opinion is a different matter. When I graduated, I did various jobs until I was 25, and then I found my place at the British Council. I got a job there, and I stayed there for 9 years. At the same time, I started exploring my hobby and my passion for swimming. I did this for social reasons, but also because for the first time in my life, I wanted to connect with my identity as a disabled person. And this could be done through meeting other disabled people, and sport was my way to do this. Gradually, I was quite inspired. It was at the time when we just won the bid to host the Paralympic and Olympic Games in London. So this kind of excited me and inspired me to compete, and that was my goal. I really wanted to compete at a home games. So I started training hard around a full-time job. I was working 35 hours a week, and then around that I was fitting training and trying to make the international team for the first time. I was selected for my first competition at the Europeans in Berlin in 2011. This was the year before the Games, and it was there that I won my first medals for my country, and that's when my new goal began and a real obsession started. I wanted to see how much and how far I could push my body, which is very unique to me, and it's more out of curiosity more than anything else. And so push it I did, and very often got injured and ill in the process. I spent 4 years preparing for London 2012, and when I was selected, I was still working at the British Council, and it was a dream come true for me to be competing at a home Paralympic Games. I won 3 bronze medals in freestyle events. That's one of my specialties, is freestyle, which is front crawl. That's not right. And that was fantastic. I was really, really happy to win medals. Of course, you're winning a medal for your country at a home games. But there was one event that I failed in my opinion. I came 4th in the 50 meters butterfly, which was my best event. It was the one that I was supposed to win. So when the games were over, I came to Mexico on holiday. And I spent some time in Mexico City with my friend. And then I went to beautiful Oaxaca, which is stunning. And I contemplated stopping sport. But because I thought really, London was my goal. I won medals there. I reached my goal. So why carry on? But I think for me, it was the pull to learn more from that failure and to better prepare and to do everything that I could to be successful 4 years later. So that's what kept me going. So 4 years later, I competed in Rio, and that 4th place became gold, which is sitting over there. That's 4 years of hard work, just sitting on a chair. Thank you. So that was a magical event for me, because to come full circle to where I started my speech, after I won the gold, I had a very special moment in the athlete village. My mum came to see me, and she just said to me, she reminded me of her fears when I was young, when I was born, and I told her that anything is possible. Look, Mum, I did it. Anything is possible. We hugged, we celebrated together, we cried a lot, and she said to me something that will stay with me forever, that I had eliminated all of her concerns when I was born, and she's so proud of who I've become, and she couldn't have expected any more from me. So you may wonder why I'm kind of sharing all of this with you. Well, beyond the medals, what I learned from sport was that it could change my life. It could steer my life in ways that I had never imagined, and that was all from a hobby and an idea. This is what happened. So I want you to think big and work hard at whatever you do, and to not let people or politics hold you back from what you believe is possible and the right thing to do. This role of a future leader, I'm speaking to the future leaders now, this role of a future leader gives you a huge amount of responsibility. It gives you opportunity, it gives you pressure. But you can take that on because you are all strong. I've heard you all speak, and you are all strong people. So for those who don't quite make it today, don't feel disheartened, don't give up. There are many ways to climb a mountain. It took me 8 years to reach the top of my sport, and I only had 35 seconds to do it. So it's a small margin and a large margin of risk. So, and also I would say that once you actually get to the top, you look for the next thing and the next thing. So maybe the best thing to say is to enjoy the journey, learn from each other, ask questions, support each other, share and collaborate, because that will help you grow into the best kind of leader. The best leaders are the leaders that know that they don't know everything. So another note, look after yourselves. Learn about yourself. As an athlete, we have to learn everything about who we are. We have to learn how our body works, how our mind works, everything. We have to learn to control ourselves under immense pressure. When I was swimming in Rio, there was 17,000 people watching me. There was millions watching on the TV. So you have to learn to kind of block that out and be okay with that. Also, I kept learning and I kept asking, because my advice is knowing yourself is one of the most difficult things that you can do. So if you take care of yourself, you'll be better able to take care of others. Don't be afraid to challenge. I was involved through my role, which Jenny mentioned, on an athlete welfare board, and I was involved in a legal investigation into my sport after I retired. I effectively had to act on a lot of complaints against an individual. I was not directly affected, but I had witnessed things that I knew were wrong, and I felt compelled to act for those who felt that they were bullied as young, disabled people. To be honest, it was a really hard thing to go through. I suffered as a result of doing this because I felt stressed, I felt anxious, but sometimes you have to fight for things that are bigger than you and choose your battles wisely, but make sure you don't let injustice pass you by. Every small act that you do or make can have a huge impact on others, and that's the important thing. So for all the future leaders who are kind of sitting over there and over here, you're all talented individuals, you're emerging leaders, you're committed to supporting positive social transformation through policy change here in Mexico and globally, I hope. So just a big congratulations on getting this far. It's incredible that you're here, and I feel very honoured, and I have slight imposter syndrome, which I told Isaac, don't get imposter syndrome, but I'm having it myself now. So yeah, congratulations on getting here, and I wish you every success, whether you're successful here today or not. My final advice and takeaways, there are two things that I kind of live by, and these are not my own phrases, but I just think that they're really good. The first thing is to remember that everything in life is either a victory or a lesson. There is no such thing as failure. And that no one ever achieved anything by being comfortable. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. And you have amazing ideas, you're amazing people, so now you've got to make them happen. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. And I think I'm inviting Pedro up to the stage now, so you can come and join me. I don't know where to put that.
Bueno, buenas noches a todas y a todos. Susie, it's really nice to be sitting next to you. It's a great honor. Y bueno, pues me da mucho gusto estar aquí frente a ustedes, frente a personas que están cambiando nuestro país desde hace ya mucho tiempo, personas que vienen a escuchar también las palabras de Susie, que han sido llenas de sabiduría, llenas de aprendizaje, toca los corazones de quien conocemos, de quien la conocemos. Y bueno, yo quisiera empezar por agradecerte, Susie. En un minuto, allá adentro, me diste muchas lecciones de vida que no esperaba recibir tan rápidamente, esperaba que fuera aquí, pero me gustaría que más personas conocieran acerca de tu medalla. Tu medalla tiene algunos rasgos distintivos que creo que es muy importante que más personas conozcamos.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, I can't listen to someone speaking Spanish in my ear at the same time as I'm speaking. Sorry to the translator. You're doing a good job. So yeah, this medal, this gold medal is, so every medal is unique to that country.
So this is unique to Rio and to Brazil. And how it's made is that this is a truly inclusive medal. So it has braille so that people who are visually impaired can read it. And also, if you listen, it has metal seeds in it, or balls in it, I'm not sure. But when you shake it, the idea is that if you can't see, you know what colour medal that you have. So when we had a silver, a bronze and a gold together, we could play... What's that? Take it off, okay. I look like an idiot, okay. When we had them together, you could play a tune.
Muchas gracias por compartirnos eso. En muchos sentidos, listo, gracias por compartirnos eso. En muchos sentidos creo que este tipo de charlas nos ayudan a poder entender todo ese universo que muchas veces permanece fuera del ojo público, pero que es tan relevante para millones de vidas. Así que por eso, precisamente, muchas gracias, Susie, y por darnos la oportunidad al British Council de estar el día de hoy aquí. Gracias a quienes están asistiendo. Y bueno, a mí me gustaría conocer un poco acerca de este mundo, como tú lo mencionabas, este mundo diseñado para una mayoría que muchas veces invisibiliza a también millones de personas. Y en ese sentido me gustaría convertirlo en consejo, porque creo que eres muy buena dando consejos prácticos. Y en ese sentido me gustaría que te imaginaras que estás platicando con una niña de México de 9 años que también vive con algún tipo de discapacidad. ¿Qué consejo le brindarías para poder vivir tan plenamente y con todos los retos que nos platicaste, pero a final del día lograr esa vida plena que has vivido? Y por otro lado, después, ¿qué consejo le brindarías a la directora o director de alguna preparatoria? Porque también escuchando tu charla puedo notar que fue muy importante la educación en tu vida.
So, 2 questions. So to the little Mexican girl with a disability, I would say maximize your strengths, because everybody has something that they're good at. You know, everyone has something that they can offer this world. And I think, you know, it's very easy to focus on our weaknesses. But I think, and this is actually for everybody. It's not just for people with disabilities, it's universal. You know, whatever you are good at doing, just really pursue that and really put effort into it and really learn it. Don't ever doubt yourself. Use your voice. It's quite a hard one. I'm kind of trying to imagine her standing there. And just keep pushing. You know, don't keep pushing for change, because I think, you know, it's hard when you're a woman. It's even harder when you're a woman with a disability. It's double discrimination. So I think having that inner strength, and you can get that from people around you. And I'm lucky, like I said, my family were really supportive, and my friends as well. But also you get a lot from the community of people with disabilities, because we support each other. And I found that amongst other Paralympic athletes. You know, I wasn't worried about beating them as much as just connecting with everyone. And that became, at the end of my journey, that became the more important thing to me, was that connection, that we all experience similar things, but in different countries. And the second point around education, so when I was at school in the UK, you think that the UK is really progressive, but I was at school, and to be honest, they didn't know what to do with me when it came to physical activity and sport. People didn't understand, because it was in the 90s, so people didn't really understand sport, Paralympic sport, to the same level in the UK. A lot changed after London 2012, and there was a lot more awareness. And so I very often just sat in the library, and they didn't know how to help me, and they couldn't think creatively. So that is what I would say. Think around the problem, think creatively, be an innovator, because I think the best thing, I mean, teachers are guides, and they have such an important role. I think teachers are so undervalued, and they're so crucial to the future. And I think understanding that you need to include everyone in that, and you know, some of the best advice and support I've had have been from teachers, but equally the bad advice too, and bad support. So, you know, it's always thinking, you know, if someone can't do something, then maybe look at what they can do, or ask them. It's simple, really.
Muchas gracias, Susi. Y ahora que lo comentas, precisamente al respecto de los procesos que detonó las Olimpiadas en Londres, ¿qué cambios notas? ¿Cuáles fueron esos cambios específicos en la ciudad, en la morfología de la ciudad, que tú alcanzas a notar que fueron importantes? Pero no solamente eso, sino también la notoriedad o quizás algún tipo de cambio simbólico que tú notas que fue importante en el campo de la discapacidad en Londres y en todo Reino Unido.
I think there was a big shift that I noticed. What happened was I suppose a lot of visibility comes through the media, rightly or wrongly, and Channel 4, which won the rights to host, to show the Paralympic Games on TV, Channel 4 were very good at portraying disability and not being afraid to take risks, big risks, you know, like risks where you might offend people. But they took those risks, and that worked, because what they did was they started the dialogue and the conversation. They weren't afraid to do that. And I think they played a huge role. The organising committee, everything was inclusive. So I think when countries win the right to host a Paralympic and Olympic Games, as part of that process, they need to incorporate inclusion into that, and sustainability and environmental awareness. There's lots of things that they need to be aware of. But for the Paralympics, that's quite crucial. So a city must prove that they're going to do something to change, or at least implement, or have a kind of a social impact as a result. So we did a lot of legacy, and I actually sit on the board of a charity that's a legacy charity from London 2012, which is called Spirit of 2012. And I've been a director for the past 4 years. And the work that they do is to basically continue that inclusion in the UK, in communities, not just in London, because London does get a lot of attention, but it's not to forget that United Kingdom has, you know, there's Wales, there's Scotland, there's England, there's Northern Ireland, you know, it's a big country and a lot of diverse areas. So the important thing is to ensure that, you know, at the heart of all of the programs that we looked at as part of Legacy, inclusion is there. And so that means that disability becomes a part of it. It's involved in the thinking. It's not a separate issue. And that's how it should be.
Ahora, también digamos, en la conversación que nos compartiste, también hubo un momento en donde señalaste como parte fundamental también de todos tus logros tu familia, y es algo en lo que nos podemos sentir muchas y muchos identificados, porque podríamos coincidir que no estaríamos aquí sin el apoyo de muchas de las personas que han creído en nosotros. Pero una parte que también es fundamental y que también mencionaste en varias ocasiones, o al menos la escuché por lo menos 3 ocasiones, es el sistema nacional de salud que tienen en Reino Unido. Y en ese sentido me gustaría conocer para ti cuáles son esos elementos fundamentales de la política pública en salud, sobre todo pensando en qué tenemos que enfrentar y qué tenemos que impulsar como país para que más bien para que sea un derecho la salud. Y bueno, en ese sentido quisiera escuchar tu experiencia.
Oh, that's a hard one, because, I mean, you know, we've had the I don't know I should know this, the full history of the NHS, but, you know, we've had it a long time, and certainly since I was born. And, you know, it's one of the things I'm very proud of as a British person, because, you know, it doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, there's equality in access to equipment and health care, hospitals. You know, this leg I have here is free through the NHS, you know, whereas in many countries you have to have insurance, you have to pay a lot of money, and so that excludes a whole group of people who don't have the money to be able to do that, or who aren't able to earn that money. So it's like a vicious circle, and I think it's fundamental to any country and society, is that, there needs to be better equality. So it's not just people who've got privilege continuing to be privileged.
Es increíble lo que mencionas, y precisamente cómo se desmantela un sistema de privilegios y más bien construimos un espacio de derechos, ¿no? Y creo que es uno de los grandes retos del país. Pero alegrémonos un poco. Ahora platícanos sobre ese momento que estabas en Oaxaca, probablemente disfrutando de un mole o quizás un mezcal o dos, pero venías de una derrota. Bueno, no de una derrota, de una lección, como nos decías. ¿Qué recuerdos tienes de ese momento? Creo que quienes estamos el día de hoy aquí, quienes deciden impactar de alguna manera en nuestras vidas o en las vidas de otras personas, siempre vamos a pasar por esos momentos complicados en donde te preparas pues mucho tiempo, te preparas varios años, entiendo que 8 años para esos 35 segundos que mencionabas que duró la competencia. Cuando esos 8 años de preparación no dan esos 35 segundos que buscabas, ¿qué recuerdas y qué te ayudó a poder cambiar o hacer ese giro en tu vida?
So Oaxaca, Oaxaca was great. I like mojito. I don't know if that's really Mexican, is it? No. So anyway, I like mojito. I like mezcal too. That's Mexican. So there was a few of those on the beach. I love being in water and I love the ocean. So I spent a lot of my time in the Pacific. I'd never been to the Pacific before, so I was swimming out, I was going on boats and looking at turtles in the water, and amazing. But I think that time gave me, it was some reflection on what I needed to do next. And I think when you set yourself, you can probably tell I'm a very goal-orientated person. I'm quite a planner. So I think what made me carry on was that I knew that I hadn't done everything I could, and I knew, it's like soul searching when you know that you haven't done enough, and you've got to be honest with yourself. And I was honest with myself, and I knew that I should have done more. So I then spent 4 years working on what I should have done as well as the other things. And no, there's no guarantee that you'll win. Like I said, there's a very large risk involved, and it's like gambling, not like gambling, but it's sort of like gambling in that you can't guarantee it. And it's very much what happens on the day, so you could have really great preparation, and then you could get ill, or you could fall over and hurt yourself on the day of the race. So you don't really know what's going to happen, and no one can predict it, which is actually the best thing about sport, because it's always a lottery. But what I did to prepare myself for that, and I think it's quite useful, is I prepared several scenarios in my own mind, and I faced those scenarios. So, okay, how will I react if I win? So I imagined myself winning and how I would react to that, how I'd imagine coming second, coming third, and coming fourth again. So there's 4 options, right? And what's the worst that can happen? I don't finish the race, or I get ill and I can't race, or, the very worst, I drown. But, I can swim, so I know that I'm okay. Yeah, so I'm okay with that. So yeah, I think that helped me, because I think if you face your fears, it usually helps you to come to terms with it if it happens. So honestly, I would have been okay with any of those scenarios. But if you ever watch me watch that race on YouTube, you'll see that my reaction is one of complete shock. And I then go on TV and I do the worst interview that anyone has ever done. I just ramble on, and the interviewer, Rachel Latham, had to tell me to shut up. So it was a long interview. It was how not to be media trained. But it was all just because it was like pure ecstasy. I mean, I can't really put into words what it feels like to win a medal for your country in front of your family, with lots of people watching, you know, and then to kind of take that away and to know that you've reached your goal. And then that's when I knew I had to stop, because it's like, right, I've done that, so what's next?
Bueno, pero yo te vi el día de hoy atender medios de comunicación y lo has hecho fenomenal. Entonces, yo creo que ya has obtenido suficiente experiencia atendiéndolos. Felicidades por eso. Lo justo. Y bueno, yo creo que siguiendo un poco digamos, el tono personal que ha ido adquiriendo esta conversación, cuando estás haciendo política, ya sea en la acepción inglesa de política pública o política, como muchas y muchos hacen aquí, pero también quienes están haciendo un cambio desde organizaciones de la sociedad, movimientos, desde los espacios de estudiantes, todo el tiempo te dicen que no lo vas a lograr, que es imposible, que el mundo siempre va a ser de la manera en la que ha funcionado hasta ese momento. ¿Qué les dices a esas personas que están construyendo un cambio para su comunidad? No todos estamos ganando olimpiadas, pero seguramente en todas y en todos hay enormes cambios que están surgiendo desde sus barrios, desde sus comunidades, y me gustaría saber qué le dirías a esas personas que llegan a su casa tristes porque escucharon todo el día que su idea no va a funcionar, pero quizás sí puedan funcionar, no sé.
Right, so winning a medal is such a selfish thing, right? I'm going to say that right now. You know, this is not necessarily changing the world unless you use it in a way that it can give you a platform with which to do that. That itself is not going to change anything. And I think, you know, listening to the 8 people that spoke today, you know, that work is far more important. You know, it's far more valuable to help your fellow human beings and your planet. And that's what I'm trying to move more towards myself. So I was learning from listening to all of you just as much as you're listening to me now. And I think it's so important not to give up. It's like my message I was saying, you know, if you're going to, you know, change and challenging is not easy. But I just really don't want you to give up. I really don't want you to ever stop pushing for change in whatever you believe in, because you all have very different things that you're looking at. So even if you aren't selected for this program, please don't stop.
También mencionabas que en este proceso de lograr una medalla o en general de la vida, había que disfrutarla, ¿no? Empujando nuestros límites, porque nada que valga la pena viene de la comodidad, pero en ese sentido, y quizás esa sería mi última pregunta, ¿cómo frente a los retos, al trabajo duro, frente a los entrenamientos, frente a los retos que presenta la vida, cómo también la disfrutas? ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué le recomiendas a todas las personas que están inmiscuidas en 1000 cosas, en 1000 tareas, como tú también, para poder mantener disfrutando esta vida que vale la pena?
I totally agree. So I couldn't really drink when I was an athlete, which is awful. We certainly drink at the end. There's a big party at the end. But we couldn't really enjoy, I couldn't really enjoy it in terms of a social life. You know, you make a lot of sacrifices. I had to miss family weddings. I had to miss, you know, lots of things. But, you know, I don't feel sorry for myself. You know, it was my job. But I think it's very important to, you know, not put all your eggs into one basket, as we say in the UK. I don't know how that would translate into Spanish, but basically don't just assume that, you know, don't just work on one thing, have other things in your life, you know, if it's family or, you know, hobbies or, you know, and that's actually how I became a swimmer, was a hobby. So it was something I did for fun, and then it became my job. So you just never know. So I think it's important to always have lots of things in your life because that's important for anyone.
Yo nunca he ganado una medalla por un hobby, entonces quizás lo estoy haciendo de la manera incorrecta. ¿Algún otro mensaje, un último mensaje que te gustaría compartir con este maravilloso foro que hizo el día de hoy? Todo lo posible para estar frente al tráfico, manifestaciones, día de quincena, viernes, y el cuerpo lo sabe. Entonces, ¿te gustaría compartir algo en especial, Susie?
Yes, so Pedro told me that it's payday today. But not so good for traffic. What can I say? It's an honor to be here, to be asked to speak. I feel like a fraud, but I'm here anyway. And, I'm very grateful to be sitting with you, Pedro, asking such great questions. And definitely come and see me in London when you come next year. You're always welcome. Congratulations to all the finalists. And, like I said, don't give up, keep going, whatever the result and the outcome. Thank you.
Well, we've come to the moment of truth. We're going to announce those 4 finalists. Before I do that, I am going to keep you waiting just a little bit longer because we have some people that we really want to thank that without them and their support and guidance, this space, both at a national, a regional and a global level wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much to all the team at San Ildefonso. You have been incredible in helping us to make this such a wonderful event for the British Council, for the 8 finalists. Thank you very much. Thank you as well to UNAM. This is also their space, and many of the university students were with us this afternoon watching and being an audience for those 8 finalists. So I hope to see lots of students from UNAM participating in this program next year. On that same note, thank you to the Universidad Tecnológico de Monterrey. They have been supporting us, really thinking through the content of the training programs and have been a wonderful ally in this process. And we're really excited to strengthen that relationship for next year. I wouldn't be doing my job without acknowledging the incredible team at the British Council. The society team have put together a well thought through, beautifully presented program, and we have a fantastic team. Thank you to Jimena, Nieves, Garelli, Brenda, who's off working still. You guys are fantastic. And so I'm very happy to welcome to the stage Camila Morsch, who is our Regional Director for Latin American English Language Education and Society, who's going to be presenting both the 4 candidates that will be representing the UK, representing Mexico and the UK, and will also be inviting the 4 candidates that have only made it to the final. We're also going to invite the panel. They can't hide. They made the decision along with myself. I'd like to invite also the panel to the stage to present the awards. So Sol Sanchez, if you would like to join us. Sol is the Director of Good Governance with the United Nations Development Programme, as well as being a key focal point on gender and human rights. Joel Cortés. Joel is the Director of Bach Creative Studio and the first openly gay candidate for Deputy of Baja California. Francisco Varela, Future Leaders Connect 2018. Francisco has been developing public policy around ensuring that Mexico has a well-trained and well-prepared civil service. So really exciting work. And Edgar Scott, who is the coordinator of professionalization of public servants at the Tecnológico de Monterrey.
So I'm asking for some help here so that I'm sure I'm going to say the right names. No, we don't need an Oscars moment, according to Janie. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm announcing this in random order and just anticipating the congratulations for the winners, but also reinforcing what Susie just said. It actually doesn't matter. We're all doing wonderful work, and what we want is to continue supporting what we're doing in the best way we can. So, okay, again, announcing in random order, the first finalist or the first winner of the night, Mari Carmen Medina Mora. Angel Candia, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Daniela Ancira. Last but not least, Isaac Bencom.
Well, congratulations to everyone. I think we're going to take a moment now to take some photographs, and then we would also like to invite the other 4 incredible finalists up to take some photographs with us as well. So if we can have some photographs with the panel, with Pedro, with Susie, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, so just finishing my job and trying to do them in the best way I can, I have to also say the names of the wonderful finalists and inviting them to come onto the stage to take pictures and celebrate with us. So Mauricio Martinez Miramonte, Pablo Ricardo Montaño Beckman, Daniel Anton Aguilar García, Andrea Flores Ortiz.
No, pero ya estamos empezando. So if we can take a moment for some photographs as well. Okay, so now is the time that we can all relax and enjoy each other's company. We'd like to invite you all to a cocktail reception where we're going to have the opportunity to speak with each other, share their policy visions, as well as get the chance to know each other a little bit more. Thank you so much for being with us this evening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.